Straight ahead on 12 News Weekend, getting a handle on winter driving.
The biggest thing that is going to put you into spin is using too much brake.
We'll hear from an expert. Then, what lies ahead for Brooklyn Park's golf courses. But first, as work begins on a new Vikings Stadium, what it means for local contractors.
We're all pretty happy to have the project.
12 News Weekend starts right now. It's one of the largest building projects in the state. Hello, I'm Delaney Cleveland.
And I'm Shannon Slatton. The new billion-dollar Vikings Stadium has been years in the making. And as Alexandra Renslow reports, the groundbreaking this week cleared the way for local construction crews to get to work.
The fanfare and fireworks at the site of the new Vikings Stadium signal the next round of heavy lifting.
It's going to be the people of Minnesota who will build it, people of Minnesota who will enjoy it.
It took a team of stadium backers years to get the ball here. Now it's up to stadium builder Golden Valley-based Mortensen Construction to take it to the end zone.
It's 40, 50, 60 Minnesota companies coming together on site.
The ultimate in teamwork begins now with hundreds of local subcontractors on the job to build the $1 billion stadium.
We're supposed to be on site in October of 2014, and we finish up in February of 16.
Maple Grove-based subcontractor Hanson Structural Precast has history on its side when it comes to stadium work.
We were lucky enough to do the Twin Stadium, the Gopher Stadium, the XL Energy Center, all the way back to the dome itself.
This summer, some of the same Hanson workers who helped build the Metrodome 30 years ago will start pre-pouring concrete in Maple Grove for the new stadium.
We'll be pouring the L-shaped riser pieces.
They'll build the concrete bowl of the stadium where the seats are bolted, similar to the work they did on the Gophers Stadium.
This is the upper bowl, and this is the lower bowl.
For this local company of 150 employees, winning the stadium bid means more than 2 years of work and 25 new jobs, plus the chance to show some purple pride.
We're all pretty happy to have the project.
That was Alexandra Renslow with that report. The process of taking down the Metrodome begins in January.
Minnesota's finances have taken a dramatic turn for the better, and local lawmakers have different views about how that happened. The latest economic forecast shows a surplus after years of deficits. Once Minnesota schools and other sources are repaid the money that was borrowed during tougher budget years, the state ends up with a projected surplus balance of $825 million for the remainder of the two-year budget cycle. State officials say the surplus is a result of a rebounding Minnesota economy and a state unemployment rate that's at its lowest level since the recession began 6 years ago. But local lawmakers have differing views on the budget surplus.
A surplus, although it's better than a deficit, doesn't mean that's necessarily a good thing. What it really means is we are overtaxing the people in Minnesota for the required expenses of this state.
It's not that Minnesotans are being overtaxed that we're seeing, is that we're seeing great employment growth. And that's what's really driving it in Minnesota. We've got more people that are going to work.
An updated budget forecast will come out in February, setting the stage for the upcoming legislative session.
A Brooklyn Park man is the new commanding general of the 34th Red Bull Infantry Division. Brigadier General Neil Lloyd-Dolt is being recognized at a change of command ceremony this weekend. He has been a member of the Minnesota National Guard since 1984 and served 2 tours of duty in Iraq. He'll lead nearly 20,000 soldiers in 6 states.
My top priority is to ensure that we maintain a level of readiness in those units so that we're available for the federal mission, which is the warfight, or the state mission, which is our domestic operations response.
Lloyd-Dolt said as troops draw down in Afghanistan, they'll focus more on small unit level tactics. They'll also prepare for domestic missions, including assisting in the event of local fires and natural disasters.
In our Week in Review, Brooklyn Park has 3 years to turn its 2 public golf courses around. The City Council approved a strategic plan to upgrade courses at Edinburgh, USA and Brookland Golf Park to the tune of about $2 million. The city will also forgive about $1.4 million in loans given to Edinburgh. The parks have been steadily losing money due to the economic downturn and a decline in players, but city officials think it will turn around.
I think we'll see some positive movement. I don't know that we're going to get to full profit in 2 years or 3 years even, but I think we'll see that we're heading in that direction.
The city decided to hold off on expensive plans to redesign Edinburgh's clubhouse and parking. If these changes don't produce positive results, the city could consider leasing Edinburgh. Well, Hennepin County is on track to set a tragic new record. There have already been 48 heroin overdose deaths this year. The drug is often packaged in small and expensive doses that the Sheriff's Department says is designed to attract new young customers. At a meeting in Maple Grove, officials warned how dangerous the drug can be.
And right now, the purity levels that we are seeing in heroin in this area are in excess of 90%, which is really unprecedented. That's a DEA number which is at the top of the nation for purity, second behind only Detroit. So when we're talking about inexperienced users with that kind of purity level, it's a very, very dangerous combination.
The Sheriff's Department is on a campaign to get a handle on the overdoses. They say many young people start with opiate-based prescription medicine they find at home before turning to heroin. In Golden Valley, a dispute over land is holding up a big development project. The 7-acre site near the intersection of I-394 and Highway 100 is ready for a new apartment project called 394. Golden Valley approved the plan for more than 300 luxury apartments and another building with senior housing, but the development can't go through until a court fight is settled with the owner of the nearby Good Day Cafe. The cafe owner argues he wasn't given an opportunity to buy the land. The earliest the court fight could be settled is 4 months. Well, coming up on 12 News Weekend, tips every driver should know about winter in Minnesota.
And later in sports, the Hopkins girls basketball team is young but talented this winter.
But first, expect bitter cold temperatures in your AccuWeather forecast. The wintry weather is taking a toll on drivers. This is one of hundreds of accidents that happened in the metro since Wednesday's storm. Most of the wrecks were minor, but several fatalities were reported across the state as well. Well, it's been a tough week for commuters who have been spending a lot of extra time in their cars lately.
I know I have. 6 inches of snow forced drivers to brush up on their driving skills in a hurry this week. 12 News reporter Sonia Goins talked with a driving expert about the basics every driver in Minnesota should know.
There's one word to describe our snowpack roads: ugly.
It's a little slippery. While I was driving up here, my car kind of slid maybe once or twice.
Trying to pull out at my car, it's like hydroplaning or whatever you'd call it.
Driving on slick snowpack roads can be tricky.
Your tires lose contact with the road surface.
Clark Messenbrink is a driving instructor and former Brooklyn Center police officer.
The biggest thing that is going to put you into spin is using too much brake. Your brake becomes your enemy on ice.
If your car skids, you're going to want to do this.
Best thing is just to let off the accelerator and just try to steer through that slippery spot.
It's a good idea not to drive too close to the vehicle in front of you. Follow the 3-second rule.
You find an object along the side of the road. Once the car ahead of you passes that object, you start counting 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3.
Now, four-wheel drive can help you with traction, but that doesn't mean you could speed on the road.
You hit that one little patch of ice, and you're gonna spin like a top.
But the best advice is to slow down.
You just have to respect the snow. It's gonna get the best of you if you let your guard down on it.
In Brooklyn Park, Sonia Goins, 12 News.
And as temperatures plunge, a parent's instinct is to bundle up their little ones.
But experts say be careful. Bulky coats and car seats are not a good mix. Those big coats can actually create a hazard for kids in car seats. As Renee Bonneau reports, experts suggest shedding excess layers before strapping them in.
Puffy coats are a must in Minnesota, but they can be a bear when strapping a child in a car seat.
You can adjust the straps, but they still don't fit right over their shoulders with a coat on.
Hey, Gab, let's take your coat off first, buddy.
Mom and nanny Mariah Maymaritas takes all kids' coats off before buckling them in. She says it helps to have a system.
Hats, gloves stay on, coats stay off, put it right underneath their feet, and then that way I'm not searching around for it, but it doesn't take very long.
We always want this strap to be snug.
Leanne Mortensen with North Memorial Medical Center says parents like Maymaritas have the right idea.
Right here at the shoulder, we don't want to be able to grab any of that strap. We want that to be very snug.
She explains how coats or blankets put too much of a gap between the child and straps, creating a dangerous situation in a crash.
If both sides slide right off, they're going to be a missile just coming right out of the car seat.
Mortensen says removing kids' coats in the car also allows parents to see if straps are hitting the right place on a child.
We want that coming out right at or above her shoulder level. Okay. Yeah. Anybody who's rear facing, we want this strap to come out from just below or at their shoulders.
In really cold weather, she suggests draping a coat or blanket over a strapped child. While they might seem silly, Maymaritas says the extra steps are worth it.
It's either, safety or they're cold for 20 seconds while you're putting their coat back on.
Leanne Mortensen will be on hand to inspect car seats and go over safety tips January 11th at Luther Brookdale Chevrolet. Call 581-3740 for details on this event. Well, coming up, many hands make light work as the Golden Valley Company helps out with basic necessities.
But first, Armstrong's boys hockey team is playing well early this season. That's coming up in sports with Jay Wilcox.
Welcome back, everyone. Jay Wilcox joins us now at sports. So it's cold out, there's snow. That means time for girls basketball, right?
That's right. And we've got a lot of good teams in the area again this year. The past couple have been really great seasons, and it looks like this one will be too. The Hopkins girls basketball team will be young this season, but the Royals still look like one of the state's best teams. Here's Jason Malillo with a preview.
Hopkins is a program with a foundation of success and an expectation of excellence. The Royals have won 3 state titles in a row, and the girls on this team are serious about continuing that winning tradition.
I think you're raised in the Hopkins mentality ever since you're young. So yes and no, because you do lose seniors and the dynamic of the team changes every year. But I think everybody's strong because the foundation here is so intense and built great.
This winter, Hopkins will be young and short on experience, but head coach Brian Cosgriff likes what he sees so far and is confident the team will slowly come together.
They work extremely hard in practice. They're extremely coachable. They really love each other. So, we think we'll be okay. It's just there's going to be a process in which we got to, learn everything from each other.
With only one starter back from last year, Hopkins will move a few pieces around, including having junior T.T. Starks take over at point guard.
We played in the Minnesota camp. I got to play it like that whole camp, and that's when I really started embracing it. And now I'm starting to get really comfortable in playing the point guard and start being more vocal on the court.
T.T.'s probably one of the smartest players I've ever had. She can play any position from the point to the post. We feel like with her strength as a leader and her high basketball IQ, that's a position that she's going to be ideal for us. She's going to be an extension of the coaching staff.
Hopkins will play a very challenging schedule again this season, and the Lake Conference is always stacked with tough teams. The Royals want to get better every game and every possession and ultimately make it back to the Target Center for a run at a 4th straight state title. Jason Malillo, 12 Sports.
And we'll have highlights of the Royals game against Bloomington Kennedy starting Monday on Sports Jam. Another team to watch this winter in girls basketball in the area is Park Center. The Pirates have a new coach this winter as Chris Vanderhyde, a former Bethel University men's assistant, takes over. The players are getting used to Vanderhyde.
He's really good. He's young. He was a college coach, so he's really into the competitiveness of winning and running, and he knows what it takes to win, and he's willing to help us get to that level. And
we had a chance to do some things this summer and things like that, so I kind of got a good feel for the girls, and so we have some good athletes there, and they have a good acumen for the game. So we've been able to figure things out quickly. So it's been a joy so far.
The Pirates are primed for what should be a good season. They're led by Wisconsin signee Kayla McMorris, one of the state's top players. She's joined by returning standouts Hannah Schaub and McKenna DuBois for a team that's played in 3 straight section finals. Added an outstanding group of freshmen, and this could be a very good season for Park Center.
I think things are going really well. I'm very excited for what we've been doing. We've been doing like a lot of offensive, defensive stuff, and we've been like fast and like up tempo and about everything.
We should be really good this year. We have a great chance of going to state, even taking it all, and hopefully we'll end up taking it.
The Pirates did lose their Northwest Suburban Conference opener to league favorite Centennial. Armstrong's boys hockey team is playing well to start this season. The Falcons entered this weekend with a 4-0 start after winning just 5 games all of last season. It's the second season for Danny Charleston as head coach. There's more of a comfort level this season. A good group of younger players has stepped in, and the guys aren't all that surprised with their strong start.
To be honest, I've seen these guys all summer and all fall. We've been really working hard. We got a really solid goaltender who's young, but he's a stud. So I mean, not really, because a goal gets you a long way.
You know, we're breaking the puck out well. We're finding each other. Our passing's been better. The boys have really put in a lot of work on the off season and working on explosive dynamic skating and plyometrics and just getting stronger.
While the early wins are nice, the Falcons know that it hasn't been the toughest part of their schedule. They did beat Andover 3-2 Thursday and are facing Maple Grove Saturday. It's a stretch that will tell a lot about their team.
It's really going to give us a perspective on where we're at with the teams that we'll be playing throughout the rest of the year. It'll be a big week for us.
After that Maple Grove game, Armstrong hosts Coon Rapids on Tuesday. So nice to see them getting off to a good start, getting a little confidence built up.
Really a lot of promise there in
That's
every
right.
team today.
That's
All
right.
right. Thanks, Jay.
You bet.
Still ahead, a story of helping hands.
It took a human chain to load 45,000 pounds of food and clothing headed for a nonprofit organization. And we'll be right back. Welcome back. Well, the frigid weather didn't dampen the spirits of hundreds who lined up to give to others.
I'm actually fine, and it's a lot of fun. It's good to do good work. So,
Employees at Allianz Life Insurance in Golden Valley bundled up and formed a human chain to load more than 500 boxes of donated food and clothing onto a truck for delivery to local nonprofits. The employees have been raising money and collecting food, clothing, and toys that will be given to families in need this holiday. One of the main social service agencies that benefits is Prism in Golden Valley, where more than 550 families use the food shelf every month.
What this means is that we'll have food in our food shelves. We have just recently adjusted our food shelf policy. Families can come and access it 2 times a month instead of once a month. They're also getting more pounds of food.
This is the 14th year for the Allianz Spirit of Giving campaign. Over the years, employees have raised more than $374,000 in cash donations and more than 222,000 pounds of food. Big numbers there. But I don't know what it is about that event. It always happens on the coldest day of December. So if you're participating, you want to be up in the building.
Yeah, I feel sorry for the people who are outside. I mean, congratulations. I'm glad you were helping out. But man, I can imagine how cold it was.
For a good cause, and that's okay.
Indeed.
That's all the time we have for now. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Have a nice weekend, and we'll see you again on Monday at 4 o'clock.